Hi, it's John Terry with the International Martial Arts Council of America and United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame. I am so excited to be here today with Leslie and Ronnie with World Vision. If you don't know who World Vision is, I'm going to give them an opportunity to share about this incredible organization, who they are and what they do. But Leslie has a unique background in the martial arts. And so, Leslie, as we get started, tell everybody your initial background in the martial arts and how we got connected.
My background is my daughter now currently is 21 years old, and she attends Chapman University in Southern California. But when she was 3 years old, I put her in ballet, I put her in swimming, I put her in soccer. And the lights went off when we did a Mommy to Me event at a Taekwondo studio here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that 3-year-old who was shy and a little reserved, she flourished. And she took karate from the time she was 3 years old. And I believe she stopped karate around when she was 16, getting really active. But she is a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo and a 2-time world champion in forms and in sparring. And so my history with karate, I was a single mom. My history with karate and my karate family here in Las Vegas was pretty similar to my family and my community in church. The community that I felt with the Taekwondo Association and what they did for my daughter, I will always be grateful for. They are an amazing group of people. They not only instill for me and for my daughter, in my experience, leadership, life skills, discipline, but they have this huge heart that they always want to give back to the community. No matter what Taekwondo studio my daughter went to, because you change a little bit, you try and get different coaches when you're doing that competition circuit. Community and giving back to the community was always a true fundamental category for those schools. And so when I started my work with World Vision, I was asked by my leader, my director, what do you think, where do you think we can outreach students? And I thought about my affiliation with Taekwondo. We have that same line that the Ignite program at World Vision, we want to genuinely bring up global leaders. We want them to be disciplined. We want them to be advocates, and we want them to look at a global aspect of the world in Christ. And Taekwondo and the Karate Association and martial arts, they do the same thing. It's not about fighting. It's not about bullying. It's about creating global and local leaders. And that starts with discipline and life skills. And I thought that might be a nice marriage for World Vision and Taekwondo, especially with martial arts studios that are Christ-based. I thought, what a wonderful combination, what a wonderful partnership. So that is why we're here. We have started this little pilot program to see if maybe we can have a nice partnership together. And I started the idea just based on my amazing experience with the Taekwondo family and what they've done for my life and my daughter. And that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Well, Ronnie, I know you're with us, and I see it looks like Kayla's wanted to come in. I'm going to admit her into the room as we're having some conversation here. But Ronnie, why don't you give us a little bit of your background?
Well, I was involved in ministry for a number of years. I worked as a student pastor, and then I got involved with some child sponsorship organization. Let me just back up on that. What happened was my wife and I, whenever we began to have children, and when our children were asked to pray for children in poverty or the world, we wanted our kids to be able to know the name of a child living in poverty that they could pray for, not just a people group, not just a geopolitical line, but a true name of a child living in poverty. And that's how we got involved in some child sponsorships things. I came on staff with World Vision about 5 years ago, and had lived overseas on an orphanage for a number of years, and just came on board and fully embracing what we're doing around the world, just to be a part of an organization that's in 100 countries, that we're the largest provider of clean water in the world. And what we do for different communities is pretty amazing, to be honest with you. I was being able to travel before COVID, of course, and to see some of the most depressed areas that I have ever been to in my life, and to see what it looked like 10 years after 10 years of World Vision being there, and World Vision planning to leave that community, because we go in, we ask a series of questions. What needs to be done? What are you doing? What can we do together? How do we transition, and how do we leave? And we have about a 15 to 18 year plan when we go into these communities that we will walk through, and then we leave them. It's like we're handing them the keys and we say, you've got it. And it's just been fascinating to see that happen. Generally starts with water. Once you take care of the water problem, then you've cut down on that 6 kilometers that children are walking to go get water. Whenever you begin to do that, that's also takes care of some of the danger, because the pathway to the water is where many of the abductions, kidnapping and abuse will happen. And then what happens is you see the schools begin to rise. One community I was in Kenya, within the first 4 years of getting beginning, they had water for 2 years. The school population had risen by about 470 students. And it was just because they were no longer having to go get water. And when that happens, the overall economic setting of the community begins to change, because the education is there, the microfinance that we do. And then what's cool about it all is all through that, we're working with the spiritual leaders in the community. We train about 180,000 pastors a year, and just to be involved in that is it's fascinating. And as a pastor myself, just to know that and to see that happening as we are addressing all of these broken relationships along the way, either family or societal or spiritual, those broken relationships, as they begin to heal, we're seeing amazing things happen around the world. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I'll stop. I forgot what the question was. That's me. I'll just leave it there.
Fantastic. Yeah. Hey, great to know your background. As I was listening to you talk, I'm thinking of some of the school owners and instructors that work in our association. We have the International Martial Arts Council of America. Our sister association is the Christian Martial Arts Council. So we have a number of practitioners that are faith-based that openly live out their faith in their schools. With a partner, we ran 3 very successful schools that were openly faith-based. In the time that I was a martial arts school owner myself, saw some amazing things. But we have other school owners that are people of faith that don't actively teach their faith and promote their faith in their school. And it's a personal choice in terms of how they do that. But even those individuals that may not be faith-based in their programs that they teach, many of them still travel around the world, taking the story and the life lessons that we can learn from the martial arts to make a difference. I've got one group I can think of that's traveled to multiple countries doing demonstrations, working in the schools, and instilling those valuable and important life skills in students that can really make a huge difference in their lives. So I believe it's Kayla. Kayla, you joined us a little bit late. You want to just jump in real quick and give us a quick thumbnail of who you are and what you're doing with World Vision?
Hi, Carla.
Carla,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry. And I apologize. Just some technical difficulties there. New computer, trying to figure it all out. So I'm Carla Bruno, and I used to run martial arts studios. I've known Leslie for over 20 years. I actually was involved in the studio that Leslie's daughter trained at when she was 4 years old. And so that's how me and Leslie know each other. And just traveling around the country, running and owning martial arts studios. And then I left San Diego to come back home, and Leslie said, I've got this amazing organization that I want you to become involved with. And so I joined World Vision actually on the church team. But that because of COVID and everything, that's kind of paused right now. And so Leslie said, I've got this great idea. I want to integrate martial arts with, what we're doing at World Vision. They kind of align. And, that's where she kind of called on me to go out there and, find some studio owners and not just, Christian-based studios. I've been going to everybody, trying to get people involved with this chosen event, World Vision, helping children, because that's what we did in martial arts. It's the common goal. So
Yeah.
that was just a quick little
Yeah,
tidbit about
absolutely.
me.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, as I sit here and I think about what you guys are doing, when I took over running the United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 2016, I had an opportunity that July to speak to an audience of about 250 to 300 school owners and instructors. And one of my challenges to them was, having been a school owner myself and looking at the impact we made in our community by not just being a martial arts school that taught martial arts, but also teaching those very important character and leadership qualities, and teaching what I describe in my book, Black Belt Leadership, how to teach your students to become a black belt leader in life. And as I began to stand in front of those instructors and school owners and challenge them at that Hall of Fame event, I asked them this question. I said, if all you're doing is you're teaching a student to punch, to kick, to block, to do forms, to compete at a high level, they learn to defend themselves, but they never learn what it means to be a leader that makes a difference in the world around them, that you've equipped and empowered them to be great students at school, great workers in the workplace, great leaders in business if they start their own business, amazing moms and dads in their homes, have we really created a black belt? My answer was no. And so I began to challenge those school owners and instructors to think differently about their school, and not just see it as a place to teach kids martial arts, but to teach the martial arts life lessons that make a difference. And I think that is so huge and so valuable that it's part of my mission in life, is to challenge more school owners to embrace that as a part of what they do. Now, Leslie, when you and I were talking, we were looking at some different things in terms of what World Vision does. For those that don't know what World Vision does as an organization, can you take just a few minutes and give a little bit of a background about World Vision?
You know, and I'm going to do this the best that I can, but Ronnie's actually the expert, because Ronnie's been with World Vision the longest in different fields. But if you want to look at it this way, World Vision goes into over 100 different countries that are, you know, definitely third world countries. And we go in with a plan that usually can last anywhere from 15 to 18 years. And we go in, boots on, we learn about those leaders in that community. We assess their needs. Is it water? Is it education? Is it immunization? Is it all of the above? And we work with the current leadership there, whether they're Christian or not. We just go in and we see what they need, and then we build them up with what we know and our resources, so that they become, as you said, in some of the work that you've done over in Africa, we want to make them self-sustaining. So we don't want to just throw money at a situation. We don't want to be a Band-Aid organization. Not Band-Aid organizations are needed. Don't get me wrong. That isn't our function. Our function is to go in there, being the Christ-like people that we are, and teach them how to be self-sustaining, whether it's giving women the ability to go to school, right? And not have to worry about, as Ronnie said earlier, walking 6 kilometers just to get water for their family, right? We want to teach them how to farm. We want to maybe subsidize some loans for them so that they can become small business owners and build up their community. So we go in there, we assess what they need, and we work with them. We walk with them step by step from anywhere from 15 to 18 years. And then our goal is to leave. Right? We want to fix those broken relationships that Ronnie has spoke about earlier. We want to fix them, work with them side by side, but in a Christ-like spirit, not push religion on them, but just know by our actions that we're walking with them. And then we want to leave and let them be self-sustaining. And overall, we get the most foreign aid because of our work. Governments come to us for help because we do it well. Right. Ronnie, please add anything that I might be missing. Ronnie's much more articulate than I am.
No, I think you covered it very well. It's and she mentioned, just in working with governments, we have just a program that's water and sanitation hygiene. So for many of the refugee camps around the world, we are basically the champions of making sure that that part of those needs are taken care of. Many times you go to a refugee camp of 350, 400,000 people. The greatest danger is just waterborne diseases. And so to take care of water and sanitation hygiene, and just providing opportunities for there to be some stability so that there can be growth. It's in back to as far as from the martial arts side of things, my brother's a black belt and taught in several of the schools around here in Oklahoma. And then he had a friend that used to say, mutilate the body and the head will die. And, and that's such the tactic that I think Satan takes whenever he attacks a community. Just if I can just beat up the body, then the head will die of the community. And we just do our best to, again, bring in that stabilization to stabilize things. And we try to give Christ, and sometimes it's just by sign, sometimes it's just by deed, sometimes it's by word. But all in all, it is basically to bring Christ into the equation, because we are Christ-centered, we are child-focused, and we are community empowering. So the whole idea of that, again, is to build up so that the little ones that are coming along that will not be born for the next 5 years in that community will come into a completely different place than the ones that are now 15, 16 years old. Again, we just want to see great change that can happen in a community. So, but yeah. Leslie, you nailed all of that.
And I wanted to also, we also on a local domestic forefront, we were one of the leaders in getting COVID supplies to areas here locally here in the US. We definitely are very, very, we have a whole transformational engagement department that works on local US-based Indian reservations, trying to get education and build up those communities. So we've got our hands in a lot of areas that we're just genuinely trying to do good work. And I believe, again, the community, the leadership, as Ronnie said, we're child focused, which from my experience, so is ATA, so are karate schools. They're child focused on bringing empowerment to those children. And so we want in our Ignite program at World Vision, which we are out in about 12 to 13 Christian schools, high schools and elementary schools here in the US. We have partnerships with those high schools where we're allowing students to take impact and because you've seen it in your karate schools, John, children, if they're given the opportunity, they're going to take it and they're going to run, right? You just have to have faith in them, and you have to look at them and say, you can do this, whether you're 5, 6, 18, you can do this. And they just need an adult to say how, and just give them a roadmap. And so through our Ignite program with our Christian partners in Christian high schools and elementary schools throughout the US, we've seen what students, when they get that aha moment and they're given that power, what they can do. And we firmly believe that the karate schools, you are already bringing up students and you are already bringing up global and local leaders. Why not give them a taste of what they can actually do with it if they're given a roadmap, and watch them thrive? And so that's why we wanted to bring Chosen to karate schools. And I don't want to step ahead of I think the Chosen experience at karate schools will bring families together. It will bring the school together as a community, but it will take those students that you've already put the seeds of leadership and discipline and giving back to the community. It will just help it flourish, and it will be something you can do as a community, as a school. But it will, what it will do for those students, those light bulb moments, I think will be awe-inspiring. And it will be something that your schools will be able to brag about. Like, we're not only creating global leaders and local leaders and self-disciplined students, but we're giving back to the community, not only locally, but globally. And I think with what we've seen with this pandemic, global attention is more now than ever, right? We're not just the US, we're not just Africa, we're not just Asia. With a global pandemic, it's global everywhere. And we have to put that awareness right now into our students and our children.
Yeah. So Carla, as you've been reaching out to school owners and having conversation with them, I know many of the school owners that we work with through our association struggled through COVID because many of them, I think of a friend of mine that's in LA, and his taekwondo, or not his taekwondo, he's a kung fu practitioner, and his school was shut down. They were not allowed to have classes. And as a result of that, many of them shifted to Zoom. He got innovative. And when they said you could do outdoor classes, he got permission from the man that owned the strip mall where he was set up at, and actually began to set up pop-up tents, like the little sun tents that just have the rooftop and not the sides, and began to set them up out in the parking lot. And he would teach classes outdoors with kids under these little pop-up tents to practice their Kung Fu. As a result of that, people that never knew he was in that strip mall driving down the road saw all these kids out doing martial arts, and all of a sudden his attendance began to grow. But I'm curious what you're finding now that we're seeing many parts of the country open back up. What are you hearing and seeing from school owners with respect to how COVID impacted them and how they're responding?
So I was actually working for a small studio in San Diego when COVID hit. I actually moved there to run a second studio. Same thing. We were shut down March 13th, and then just the school owner, he just kind of got innovative really quick, and we went on Zoom, just like most of the school owners. Same thing. The parking lot, the leasing agent said you can go out in the parking lot. So when I was working there, I was running from indoor, watching Zoom, outdoor, indoor, outdoor, and then we were allowed, that 25%. So I was, I got a lot of exercise in that year. And you're right. I mean, it just kind of people were coming back and back and back. Right now, I think that a lot of the studio owners are still just cautious because things are kind of, going back to, people are a little bit worried again. It's spiking. So people are kind of figuring, let's just kind of see what happens in the next few weeks. But I know that a lot of the school owners that I've talked to are staying open. They're trying to do the best that they can to keep things safe for the kids, for the parents, for the community. And, but they're still, they're still cautious about things. But a lot of the studio that I was working for actually closed because of COVID. So a lot of school owners are struggling. Small businesses are struggling because of it, but they're being innovative. Like you said, they're keeping to it. And, I don't think, just me personally, it was really hard to watch kids learn online because 3-year-olds struggle, I mean, it's hard to keep a 3-year-old engaged 30 minutes when you're standing right in front of them. On a computer screen, it's very hard. And all of the studios that I've ever worked at, they focus on the life skills, as you were talking about. So we just always said we used martial arts as a tool to teach them the leadership skills. And so I think that even if a little bit of the physical part of it has kind of taken a step back, maybe, I think that leadership part, the mental part, that's elevated. So I think that it kind of has helped kids in a different way. So, you always got to take the positives for things that happen. We have to, or else we'll just sit around and, woe is me. But I think that's one of the positive that I've noticed is kids are learning more about that mental aspect of it. The emotional, and the spiritual aspect of it. Hopefully now, what we're getting out into with this new project that we're starting.
Sure, absolutely. So Leslie, that's a good segue to talk about Chosen and what you're looking to do with World Vision and bringing Chosen to individuals that are either openly faith-based or might be people of faith that want to find a way to share their faith, or even those that don't. I know in our school, we were openly faith-based, but I had kids in my school that were Muslim, that were Hindu, that were no religion at all. And we told the parents up front, we're not here to proselyte your children. We teach a values-based leadership character system that uses the Bible as our point of reference, because we believe it's one of the best tools to teach values and character to your student. And if you're okay with them learning that, then you're welcome to be a part of our school. And as a result of that, never had any pushback from any parent, regardless of their background, regardless of their religion, ever. And we were very successful in all 3 of our locations. So Leslie, I'd love to hear about Chosen and how school owners could plug in with World Vision to do something unique and different.
Love it. So Chosen, if you haven't been to a Chosen event at your church, Chosen is, we flipped the script on child sponsorship. So typical child sponsorship is you see all these beautiful faces from children from around the world, and you get to choose that child that you relate to or your child relates to. And for $39 a month, you are sponsoring that child in whatever portion of the world that they are. And you get a little information on them, like whether they're 5 or 6 or what their scenario is, right? That's a normal child sponsorship event. Chosen, what we do, because World Vision is just like Taekwondo and just like karate, we want to put the power and the empowerment back into the child that needs it, right? You as school owners, you are empowering your children every day with the lessons. You're giving them life skills and discipline. Children in third world countries aren't getting that. So now what we're doing is we would like to come to your school. We would like, if a family or a child has decided, you know what, child sponsorship and what World Division does, I want to be a part of it. And I'm willing to spend $39 a month to be a part of that global difference. So we would then take your picture, John, or maybe your family's or your child's. We take your picture, then we'll use Africa for an example. We're going to send that picture over to our field over in, say, Kenya. And then if we have, let's say your school produced 20 sponsorships, we're going to have a chosen party for those kids in Kenya that have been waiting to be sponsored. And they get a party where they get some snacks, they get to dance, and then they get to walk into a special room and they get to see our faces and they get to choose. So they're going to pick your picture, John, that whether they think he's got kind eyes, and they're going to write you a letter. And then they're going to go back to our field staff, and they're going to take a picture holding your picture. And then next week, 2 weeks, we come back to your school and you're going to get an envelope with your name on it. And you get to open up that envelope and you're going to have that picture of that child choosing you and a letter as to why. And then that is going to start the relationship that you have with that sponsored child. You'll get at least maybe 3 letters a year, depending on what COVID is and whatnot. But you have a wonderful thing called myworldvision.org, where you actually get to find out and track, like, what stage is that community in? Where are they? And you get to see an updated picture of your sponsored child. You can communicate with your sponsored child. So John, what we would love to do is we would love to have these chosen events at karate schools, whether it's just an event, like how I see it is, where karate schools are brilliant is bringing in new students, right? And they have these events where they bring a buddy, et cetera. And we have this event where we explain what World Vision does and how it ties into what karate schools are doing for their students. And we give families the opportunity to sponsor a child. And we take their picture right there, we send it off to the field, and then we come back maybe 2 weeks later with envelopes and they get to see who chose them. And that's something that maybe a karate school decides, you know what, we kind of want to band together and we want to work on an area in Honduras, or maybe it's in Guatemala. And we give them that opportunity as a community and as a school to do this together and go back and forth. And we would love, like, chosen pictures to be done in gis, so that it's bringing the karate world into other parts of the world. You know what I mean? Because some children have never seen a gi before. And
That's right.
I'm just envisioning like a family deciding that they're going to do the chosen, and they're going to take a picture all together in their gis. It's if a family does ATA together, which you have in your school. So, and I would love to do like relay races at this event where we have like buckets that are normally used in the field for children to have to carry water, that we have little relay races. So the kids at your school get to feel the impact of what it's not like to have water and how you have to walk 6K to get water. I've got a bunch of fun ideas for events. It's just a matter of, will these schools be on board with us and try and invite us into their schools to do these chosen events? But I think we can make it really impactful. I think we can make it really fun. And I think it's a good business model, because I think Taekwondo, out of any kind of extracurricular activity, they get it more than anyone on how to give back to the community. And now they can just take that one more step higher on, now it's not only local, but it's global impact that Taekwondo is having, because it's been such an amazing, it's a fast growing network, Taekwondo. And you guys, you've got the formula, you have it. And we just want to partner with you on that global impact.
Yeah, the ATA that you've been a part of is right here in my backyard. I'm in Hot Springs. They're in Little Rock, just a few miles up the road. Know the leadership there well. Matter of fact, we had a gathering of Taekwondo masters, and I'm not a Taekwondo practitioner, but because of my role with the Hall of Fame, I was invited to be a part of that event, to be there to honor all of the masters and grandmasters that have really been the pioneers of bringing Taekwondo to Arkansas and different parts of the country. The governor of our state was there. The mayor was there. It was a very wonderful event. And it was done in the middle of a tournament with kids everywhere. And as I think of the impact that martial arts has, not just in the Taekwondo space, but in the karate space and the Kung Fu space and all of the different disciplines that we represent with IMAC and with CMAC, what an opportunity to do something different and unique. You know, we're all the time thinking about what can we do that benefits our school, but we never ask the question, what can my school do that benefits the world?
Right.
And that benefits a child that may never experience that in their lives.
Exactly.
You know, I think to a recent trip I did to Guatemala, one of the nonprofit groups I work with, as I was sharing before we started recording, has an after school program that they do for kids, because oftentimes dad's gone and it's a single mom raising kids and she's working, trying to make ends meet. And either the kids wander the streets and get involved with gangs, or they can go to this place and they can get a great education, they can exercise, they can learn life skills that are really reshaping culture where they're at. But while I was coming, John, who runs the program, called me and he says, would you be willing to teach martial arts classes? Well, I mean, that's like saying, you know, I'm a wild rabbit, throw me in the briar patch. You know, I'm just like, let me at it. So the first day we were there, he announced, we're going to do martial arts. None of the kids knew what martial arts was. And so out of all the hundreds of kids running around, 3 little kids showed up. I didn't speak a lick of Spanish. And my wife, who's Costa Rican, was there. So she was a great interpreter, had a doctor friend that was there and he was an interpreter. So they helped with the interpretation. My son, who's an instructor, was there. And so we got a chance to start working with the kids. Well, I'm working with these 3 children. And the martial arts really is universal in its conversation, even if you can't speak and they can just do the movements, they can do it with you. And so we begin to teach these kids these incredible, very simple things, but for them, it was, you know, brand new. And other kids would kind of watch. And at the end of our time together, I taught for about 45 minutes. I says, now we'll do this again tomorrow. And here's what we're going to do tomorrow. So I show up the next day, expecting the same 3 kids. There's 12. And they'd gone to tell everybody at school what had happened, and some of their friends came. So we reviewed what we did the day before, added to that, had a lot of fun, which we always do. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do on day 3. So I go finish up the day, come back in the afternoon for day 3. There's 27 kids on the floor, 28 kids on the floor. I mean, it's some number close to 30. And we're in this little small room. And again, all the other kids are telling kids. By day 5, we were packed in the room. We had them outside, and it was just an overflow event that they had a chance to experience. That was something they never knew. And a matter of fact, from time to time, some of the kids are asking Mr. John, when's that karate guy coming back? We want to do that again. So I've got to plan a trip back to Guatemala to do that. But for many of our school owners that have not had an opportunity to travel and see the world and experience another culture, it's an area that we want to be involved and help you do that, to plug you into organizations like World Vision, to plug you into some of the nonprofits that I'm working with and some of our other school owners are working with, to give you an opportunity to see a different way the world lives and learn to appreciate what we have here in America. As you've had an opportunity. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I do want to say that we're true to our commitment. And if the school can help us get 100 sponsorships, it would be our delight to take that school owner when COVID lifts. We would love to take that school owner that produces that 100 sponsorships, their commitment to World Vision. We would love to take them to the field and let them see what we do. We would love to see them see the impact that we do at World Vision and take them to the field and give them a vision trip so that they know exactly what our work is, and they can say to their school, families, what exactly World Vision is, and they've got firsthand experience. We want to genuinely walk in a partnership with karate schools, because to your point, look at how that spread so rapidly in that area that you taught karate. So if we have chosen events with taekwondos, gis on, and just gives them the children, the interest of why are they wearing that? And then that's a question and answer. And that's how you build those seeds. And we can partner together on different extracurricular activities when communities get to that 15th and 16th phases of what they go through with World Vision. I just think it'd be a great marriage to go to. And fun fact, the founder of World Vision. This whole World Vision started when he was over doing mission work in Korea. And the Taekwondo Association also started in Korea. So I just think that there's too many different, stars aligning that we need to get it going on. And I trust the Taekwondo families and those school leaders that I think this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, I'm excited about the opportunity, and I can see some of our school owners that have a huge kids program to have an opportunity to say, let's do something for a child somewhere else in the world that for just a dollar a day or a little bit more than $1 a day can experience a better life. Ronnie, I've had an opportunity to be in Cameroon. I've been in Zambia. I've been to Guatemala. I've been to some islands in the Caribbean where the quality of life isn't what we experience here. And I remember seeing the eyes of a child when they were drilling a well and all of a sudden that water burst forth from the ground. And those kids got so excited because they weren't going to have to walk 2, 3, 4 miles to this nasty, dank, parasite infested pond that they're getting water from and bringing back. And as they're drinking it, they're literally drinking death because over time, those parasites kill these kids if they don't get treatment for that. I think It's something amazing that's life-changing. Ronnie, if you could share one maybe quick story of a change event that's happened in your life, as you can think going overseas and seeing an impact in the life of a child, what would you share?
Oh, wow. Well, I've been to 20 some odd countries, so there are many, many stories. I think immediately I go back, was in Kenya, and again, with World Vision, there's so many layers of things that we will do in a community, but one of those has to do, we don't just provide water for a few. Many of our projects are to provide water for 50,000 people. So we do infrastructure as we do things. In doing that, you've got to train plumbers. You've got to train pipe fitters. There are different businesses that are birthed out of this. And one of those is you will have a committee, a water committee that oversees all of this for the county. To use that frame of reference. And I never will forget, we were going to meet with that committee. So they had been trained, and this was about year 8 again, year 8 or 9. And I thought they were going to show us their pumps and all the different things that they had done, for the water. And they brought in these 3 girls into this very tiny room. And I mean, with tremendous pride, they begin to tell us about how each one of these girls had been brought out of trafficking because of the way this committee worked in going house to house, business to business, to set up things for the water world. And so now they were brought out of trafficking, a few years earlier, and were leaders in the school, going to be graduating. One of them was looking at university. But just the whole idea that, I would have never painted that picture, that let's go into this community to help overall. And you begin with fixing the water problem, the education problem, the economic standing. And as a result of that, these 3 girls literally get their lives saved. And that was just fascinating to me. And the chosen thing, if I can just say, with martial arts, there's a tremendous amount of the positive idea of the confidence that brings in the lives of our kids. But the power of humility, of being able to say, I humble myself to the point of being chosen by someone across the way. I just feel like that has a tremendous impact on kids' lives. So I hope I just know there's some good things that can happen out of this.
Oh yeah.
And
I am very excited about this. Go ahead, Leslie.
And if I could say, Ronnie shared a great story of how it was impactful for a child over in the field. As a mom of an ATA student, and an Ignite World Vision student, I can give you 3 stories of 3 students that went to Faith Lutheran High School here in Las Vegas, right? All of them involved with extracurricular activities, all of them honor students, amazing, right? And what they all 3 received the highest amount of scholarship money and the highest acceptance rates, and they all are attending now Ivy League schools, was not because of the straight A's. It wasn't for the football. It wasn't for the soccer or the theater. It was for their work with World Vision and how it impacted them to be advocates stateside through our social innovation challenge that we do in our Ignite program, where we give a real world problem to students to fix, come up with a business plan and orient it, whether it be for our walk for water of 6K. It was that work that they did with World Vision, with the grades, whatever, but 3 of them used their work with World Vision as their essays for colleges. And I know ATA parents, you want to have a rounded child. You want them to be successful in school, successful in extracurricular. You want them to be health conscientious. I know ATA parents, I know karate parents, and they have the biggest hearts, but they also have the master 10-year plan for their kids, right? And that's why we pay the money that we do for those lessons, for those values, all for the discipline. But where World Vision comes in is we open their eyes on what the world can be and what they as students can do. And then they go back, and when they're doing those college essays or they're applying for that job, they can brag and they can talk about what they learned and how they helped make the world a difference. And I think with our state of the world now, what our poor kids have had to do, between online schooling and not being outside and I think that moment and that time, I think ATA parents, karate martial arts students, I think they will see the benefit of it as well. So it's impactful, definitely impactful for our students and our children that are abroad, but it's more impactful right here at home in opening the hearts and the Christ-driven spirit into our students.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got 6 children, and I've taken some of my kids overseas. And I remember watching about 2 or 3 days in, that aha moment for them is that I'm changing the world one little child at a time.
Yes.
And it was so impactful for them. And we still talk about that. My daughter just, right before COVID, traveled to Costa Rica to work with a group that rescues women from the sex slave trade. She went there as a self-defense instructor to teach these women how to defend themselves so that they didn't have to deal with that again, or they could at least have an opportunity to fight back and create a way to escape so they weren't pulled back into trafficking. My wife was there teaching them skill sets that they could learn to do so they didn't feel like they had to go back into prostitution to make a living. And changing lives is just incredible. I want to share one quick personal story as we're talking about transformation and what it can do for you. And then I want to come back, Leslie, as we wrap this up and let people find out how they can connect with Chosen. But as I'm thinking about changing lives, we think about change that we can do in our inner cities, and we think about changes that we can do in our own communities. But I remember taking a group of young people to Guatemala, and we went up into the mountains of Guatemala, about 10,000, 12,000 feet, to some tribal communities that spoke a language that is almost gone outside of just this small region. And they lived in a house that was nothing more than pallets that were nailed together with some pieces of either plywood or, basically large leaves that covered the sides. And if they were fortunate, they had a tin roof across the top. And the entire family lived in that house, one room, and they had a fire in the middle of that one room. And all of the walls, when we walked in, were black with soot, because as that family laid there on the floor at night, they were breathing that. And several of our parents in our school helped raise money. And for $200, we could go in and we could build in each one of these little houses, we could create a stove that they could cook in, and that we could go through the roof and we could vent the smoke out of the house. And as we were going in and installing, we installed 20 something stoves in a couple of days in this little community while we were there. But as we were doing it, we got so excited, we put in 22 stoves in one day. I mean, we just worked our tails off. Got up the next morning and I walked outside. And as I'm watching the sun come up at 12,000 feet, absolutely gorgeous in this jungle area. And I look and I begin to see smoke rising above the trees. And I went and I woke up those young adults that were with me. And I said, I want you to see the difference that you've made. And I pointed into the woods where all of these houses were back in the jungle. And you could see the smoke begin to rise from each little area. And as they looked at that, they said, what do you mean? And I said, that is the first time those kids have not had to breathe soot. And you made a difference.
Amazing.
And oh my goodness, when they went back and shared with the other students, this is what your money did. It's changed their lives. And for you as a school owner to have an opportunity to engage your students in something incredible like Chosen, where you had the opportunity to be chosen by an overseas family that knows you're going to be investing in their future, that's incredible. So Leslie, how do they contact World Vision to plug into that? What do we need to do?
You know what? Carla Bruno is our lead on this. So it would just simply be emailing Carla, and then she will connect with them and we will get dates sent, set as soon as possible. And we would love the opportunity. We know that springtime is just around the corner, and it's a beautiful time when we get past all this cold and wind to set up Chosen events at your school. So just
Awesome.
Carla, is there any way that we'll be able to put Carla's email?
Yeah, what we can do is we will post her email in the show notes below this video when we post it and we push it out. kbruno@worldvision.org, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right,
That's
so
it.
that's KBRUNO at worldvision.org. And that World Vision is all one word.
Yes.
So if you'll reach out to Carla, Carla will connect you and have an opportunity to get a Chosen event set up at your school and give your students an opportunity to be chosen by someone from the third world. So I want to say, Ronnie, Carla, Leslie, I want to say thank you guys for reaching out to our organization and giving us an opportunity to share this with our school owners and instructors and giving them an opportunity to serve the world at a higher level. Ronnie, as we wrap up, any last thing you'd like to share real quickly?
Well, just first of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I mean, that's just really, it's amazing to hear your passion, to hear your heart, not only for the students that you're obviously involved with the craft that you are so passionate about, but just the opportunity to for us to be here to talk about the kids that we work with. So I just want to say thanks.
Absolutely. Leslie, anything you want to share real quick?
John, I'm gonna ditto what Ronnie said. Thank you for this opportunity, but I want to say thank you to all the school owners in ATA. Thank you for what you do for our future. I'm getting a little tired. I get like a little bit choked up. You people like Carla, you guys make a difference. You truly make a difference. And from a single mom, you saved me. So thank you. This is why they don't let me do these things. This is what happens. This is why we bring in Ronnie, because the floods start coming. I'm just so grateful to this organization, and I just can't wait to meet these school owners and travel and do events at your school, because number one, I'm the fun bus. When I'm not crying, I am the fun bus. Let me just tell you. And I just can't wait to build this partnership together with ATA and martial arts, because you guys do it well. You do it well.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to share this video with our friends at the ATA, and then we're going to push that out to all of our school owners from all of our different disciplines and give them an opportunity to see how they can serve World Vision and make a difference in the world around us. Carla, anything you want to share as we wrap this up?
Same as, both Ronnie and Leslie said, just thank you. I appreciate you, doing this for us. Martial arts changed my life. And one of the things that I wanted to do once I had a great foundation at my studio was to help kids. Once I seen the changes that they were happening, I wanted them to give back to their communities. So that was very important to me. And I think that's the World Vision. What they do is incredible, what we do there. And I think also martial arts, what martial arts school owners, Leslie keeps saying ATA because her child developed in the ATA, and put every school, every organization, every school, every different kind of, discipline. I think that it's about changing kids and helping and, communities around the world, but also all our communities. So we just want that opportunity to come in there and just help reinforce what all these amazing martial arts instructors, owners, students are doing already. So thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So again, for those of you watching the video, we're going to put Carla's email in the notes below this video so that you can reach out directly to her. We'll have some instructions on how to do that we'll share with you as well. But if you have questions and you're not sure how to get a hold of Carla for whatever reason, you can't reach her, reach out to our organization, reach out to me directly. I'll be happy to share Carla's contact information and get you plugged in so that you can be a part of this event. I want to say thank you all for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.